Everyone knows the Mafia is impossible to crack, until the day a man walked into their world wearing a priest's collar and a wire. The Bonanno family did not see him coming, but his secret identity would shatter their code of silence, trigger a $500,000 contract on his head, and nearly cost a trusted hitman his life. But how does an FBI agent convince New York's deadliest criminals he is one of them? The answer begins with the creation of Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco didn't just appear out of thin air. Every detail of his life had to be forged, rehearsed, and checked until it could stand up to the most suspicious mobster's stare. The FBI started by erasing Joe Pistone's real identity. His handlers built Donnie from the ground up. A jewel thief from California, no family, no criminal record in New York, no past anyone could trace. The forensics lab at the Bureau churned out new driver's licenses, auto registrations, and social security cards, all under the name Donald Brasco. Even the smallest slip, a mismatched date, a wrong zip code, could get an agent killed. Jules Bonavolante, the New York office's undercover supervisor, demanded perfection. He checked every document, every story. Pistone had to memorize his legend so well that he could answer questions about fake cousins in Pittsburgh or a childhood in San Jose without blinking. The FBI even created phony references, informants in other cities who would vouch for Donnie if anyone called to check. But paperwork was not enough. Pistone needed to pass as a professional in a world built on greed and suspicion. The Bureau brought in gemology tutors to teach him how to spot a fake diamond, grade a sapphire, and talk the language of the trade. He spent hours learning how to crack a safe, how to appraise stolen watches, how to haggle over hot merchandise without giving away nerves. He practiced until he could flip a ring in his hand and rattle off its carat weight and flaws like he had been doing it all his life. Every move was monitored. Bonavolante scheduled regular check-ins at random payphones and safe houses. If Pistone missed a call, agents would scramble. The Bureau ran drills for everything: surprise searches, background checks, even mob shakedowns. Pistone rehearsed how to get frisked without flinching, how to explain away scars or a nervous glance. By late September 1976, the legend was airtight. Donnie Brasco was ready to walk into Little Italy's social clubs, not as an agent, but as a man the Mafia would trust with their secrets. Lefty Ruggiero didn't look like a teacher. He wore cheap suits, chain smoked, and carried his debts like a second skin. But to Donnie Brasco, he became the guide to a world where a handshake could mean a death sentence. The first lesson came fast. In the Bonanno family, respect is everything, and it is measured in rituals. When a capo enters the room, you stand. If he offers his hand, you kiss his ring, just a quick touch, never a slobber. Get it wrong, and you are out. At dinner, the boss sits at the head of the table. New guys like Donnie take the seat farthest from power, order pasta, never the steak. Talking business in public is forbidden. Even the word Mafia is never spoken aloud. Lefty drilled these rules into Donnie over endless plates of spaghetti at neighborhood joints. Every meal, every card game, every walk down Mulberry Street was a test. Trust, Lefty said, is the real currency. He did not just say it, he lived it. He brought Donnie into his bookmaking operation, handing him the job of collecting debts from gamblers who had lost more than they could pay. It was dangerous work. Donnie learned to keep his voice low and his eyes sharp. If a debtor tried to stall, he would say the line, "You pay or you pay." Simple, direct, no threats needed. The message came through. Lefty's mentorship went beyond business. He invited Donnie to card games in the back rooms of smoky clubs, where the rules were as strict as the stakes. Never welch on a bet, never cheat a friend, always split the pot if the cards go bad. If someone lost big, you loaned him money, with interest of course. The VIG, as Lefty called it, was never discussed openly, but everyone knew the rate, 5% a week, no exceptions. The bond grew personal. Lefty started calling Donnie Kid, letting him drive his Cadillac, even asking for advice about his son's troubles. When Lefty vouched for Donnie, it was not just a business move. In Mafia culture, vouching is a blood oath. If Donnie turned out to be a rat, Lefty would die for it. That trust cut both ways. Donnie knew every hug, every handshake was a test he could not fail. One mistake, and both men would pay with their lives. By the end of that first year, Donnie was not just playing a part, he was living it. The rituals, the rules, the danger, they became his everyday reality. Lefty's world closed in around him, tight as a noose, and Donnie Brasco pulled it tighter with every secret he learned. Every conversation Donnie Brasco had with the mob was a potential death sentence. The wire pressed against his chest picked up whispers of murder contracts, loan sharking deals, and the names of men who would never be seen again. The device was crude, heavy, hot, and prone to static. If it shifted, if it was spotted, there was no backup plan. Pistone sweated through hours in smoky back rooms, recording Lefty's instructions on how to collect VIG, 5% a week, no excuses, and Sonny Black's talk of moving heroin through pizzerias. The tapes featured everything: who owed money, who was skimming, who might need to disappear. But the more he recorded, the more the wise guys watched him. Tony Mira, never fully convinced by Donnie's story, cornered him one night and ran his hands down Donnie's sides, searching for a wire. Pistone kept his breath steady, flashed a fake Miami ID, and spun a story about a jewel score in Tampa. Mira grunted, but the suspicion never faded. In Milwaukee, another close call. A sudden pat down before a sit-down with out-of-town associates. Pistone angled his body, talked fast, and prayed the wire's tape held. He walked out, but his nerves were shot. The paranoia was constant. Any hug, any brush of a hand could be the end. Still, the evidence piled up. Hours of mob business, murder plots, and enough numbers to map the Bonanno empire. The proof was real, but so was the risk. Each tape could be his last. Orders for murder traveled fast in the Bonanno family, but nothing moved quicker than suspicion. On a summer night in 1981, the word came down. Donnie Brasco was to prove himself. The target was Anthony Bruno Indelicato, a rival caught in the crossfire of a mob power struggle. Sonny Black Napolitano gave the order. Donnie was to lure Bruno onto a boat and kill him. For Pistone, this was the line that could not be crossed. The FBI had to act. On July 26, 1981, after nearly 6 years undercover, Joe Pistone was quietly extracted. No grand rescue, no dramatic chase. Just a phone call, a safe house, and the end of Donnie Brasco. The fallout was immediate. Over 200 indictments swept through the Bonanno ranks. Backed by tapes and testimony, Pistone had risked his life to collect. But in the Mafia, betrayal is never just paperwork. Sonny Black paid with his life. On August 17, 1981, he was summoned to a meeting, shot in the head, and his hands were severed, sent as a warning to anyone who might vouch for an outsider again. Lefty Ruggiero, the man who had brought Donnie in, knew what was coming. He left his jewelry on the dresser, kissed his wife goodbye, and waited for the call. Instead of a bullet, he got handcuffs. The FBI arrested him before the mob could finish the job. He would die of cancer in prison 13 years later. The Mafia's fury fixed on Pistone. The commission set a $500,000 contract on his head, a bounty that has never been lifted. 40 years on, the message is unchanged. Nobody betrays the family and walks away. The cost of infiltration was counted in funerals, indictments, and in a name that still echoes in mob circles, Donnie Brasco. Today, the Mafia's code of silence still shields secrets, and the $500,000 contract on Pistone's life remains unlifted. Infiltration comes at a price, identity, safety, and family. The lesson endures. Even as organized crime evolves, the cost of exposing the truth is a debt never fully paid. What would you risk?